What happens when a stage meant for performance suddenly becomes the setting for a life-changing confession, and millions realize they are witnessing something that was never part of the script? That was the question echoing through the crowd the moment Yu Long stopped moving. The lights were still blazing. The music had just faded. Applause was expected. Instead, silence fell like a held breath. And in that pause, everything changed. No one came prepared for this. Yu Long had walked onto the stage that night as he always did, confident, composed, fully in control of the spotlight. Fans expected a performance polished by rehearsal, emotion shaped by choreography. What they did not expect was vulnerability so raw it would leave an entire audience frozen in disbelief. Then he spoke. His voice was steady at first, but there was something different in his tone. Less performance, more truth. The kind of truth that cannot be rehearsed because it does not know how it will end. And that is when he turned toward Yang Mei Mei. For a split second, the world seemed to narrow to just the two of them. Cameras kept rolling, unaware they had crossed an invisible line from entertainment into history. Fans watched in confusion as Yu Long took a step forward, then another, his expression stripped of all artifice. This was not acting. This was a man standing at the edge of everything. Yang Mei Mei looked stunned. Not performative surprise. Not scripted shock. The kind that leaves you blinking, trying to catch up to a moment moving faster than thought. Her hands trembled slightly as she realized what was happening, even before he reached into his pocket. When Yu Long lowered himself to one knee, the venue erupted, not in cheers, but in gasps. Because proposals do not happen like this. Not here. Not now. Not in front of everyone. And yet it was happening. This story isn't over. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. We follow the moments and emotions of your favorite TV stars. Stay with us. In front of thousands in the venue. In front of millions watching online. In front of a fandom that had followed every rumor, every glance, every denial. Yu Long looked up at her, eyes shining under the stage lights, and for the first time, he did not look like an idol. He looked like a man asking a question that could change his life forever. His words were simple. He did not dramatize them. He did not rush them. He spoke as if the noise around them had disappeared.
He spoke about time.
About meeting someone when he least expected it. About how success meant nothing if it was not shared. About how Yang Mei Mei had become the place where his ambition rested, where his chaos found calm. And then he asked. The question hung in the air, fragile and terrifying. Yang Mei Mei covered her mouth, tears already forming, her expression a collision of joy, shock, and disbelief. She looked out at the audience briefly, as if searching for confirmation that this was real. Then she looked back at Yu Long. That was all it took. She nodded, and the venue exploded. Cheers, screams, tears, hands over mouths, fans crying without fully understanding why. The stage that had been built for spectacle suddenly felt intimate, sacred. As Yu Long slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands shook visibly. He laughed softly, overwhelmed, and stood to pull her into an embrace that erased everything else. In that moment, fandom shattered and reformed simultaneously. Some fans cried from happiness. Some sat in stunned silence. Some struggled to process the speed and public nature of it all. Because this was not just a proposal, it was a declaration. Yu Long was not asking quietly, safely, behind closed doors. He was choosing to love without hiding, to commit without retreat, to accept whatever consequences came with honesty. And that choice shocked everyone. Almost immediately, the internet erupted. Clips spread faster than official footage. Headlines raced to catch up. Fans replayed every second, analyzing expressions, body language, timing. Was this planned? Was Yang Mei Mei truly surprised?
Why now?
Theories flooded in, but one thing was undeniable. This was real. There were no awkward cues. No delayed reactions. No polished announcement afterward. Just two people standing on a stage, holding hands, breathing in the aftermath of a decision that could never be undone. Industry insiders were stunned. Public proposals are risky. They invite scrutiny. They complicate branding. They remove control. Yu Long knew this, which is why the gesture felt so powerful. He chose love over image. Yang Mei Mei, later seen wiping away tears backstage, appeared overwhelmed but radiant. Those close to her described the moment as something she had never expected, yet somehow recognized instantly as right. The shock was not just that he proposed. The shock was how fearless it was. In an industry built on careful distance and calculated mystery, Yu Long crossed a line few dare to approach. He made his private truth public. He allowed the world to witness a moment that could have been rejected, criticized, or misunderstood. And still he did it. As the lights dimmed and the crowd slowly dispersed, one thing became clear. That stage would never just be a stage again. It would be remembered as the place where performance ended and reality began. Where an idol became a man. Where a question was asked not for applause, but for a future. Fans may argue, celebrate, mourn, or adjust in their own time. But one truth remains. That night, love refused to wait backstage. And everyone watching knew they had witnessed something that could never be repeated. And when the echoes of cheers finally softened, when the cameras lowered and the stage lights dimmed, the true weight of that moment began to settle in. Because a public proposal does not end when the ring is placed. That is when the real consequences begin. Backstage, the atmosphere was nothing like the roar of the crowd. It was quiet, almost reverent. Staff members stood frozen, unsure whether to congratulate or give space. No one had been briefed. No one had been warned. This had not been a marketing stunt. It had not been cleared through layers of management. It had come straight from the heart, and that made everyone nervous. Yu Long and Yang Mei Mei sat side by side, hands still tightly clasped, as if letting go might cause the moment to dissolve. Yu Long's confidence on stage gave way to something softer, almost fragile. He kept asking her if she was okay, if she was sure, if the shock had been too much. Yang Mei Mei answered with a smile that trembled at the edges. She was still catching up to her own life. For years, fans had speculated about their relationship. Glances that lasted too long. Comfort that felt too natural. Support that went beyond professionalism. Each time, the rumors were dismissed. Each time, silence was chosen. And now, without warning, that silence had been shattered in the loudest way possible. Not with a press release, but with a question asked on one knee. Within hours, reactions split sharply. Some fans celebrated the courage it took to love openly in an industry that punishes honesty. They called it romantic, historic, brave. Others felt blindsided, struggling to reconcile the image they had held for years with the reality unfolding in front of them. Shock turned into confusion. Confusion into grief. Not because love is wrong, but because change is hard. Yu Long had known this would happen. Those close to him later revealed that the decision had not been impulsive. He had thought about it for months. The timing, the place, the consequences. He knew that proposing on stage would strip away the safety of privacy. But he also knew that hiding any longer felt like betrayal, not of fans, but of himself. Yang Mei Mei, too, faced her own storm. As the woman at the center of the moment, her reaction was scrutinized relentlessly. Every frame of her expression was dissected. Was she happy? Was she overwhelmed? Was she pressured? But those who know her describe her as someone who does not perform emotion lightly. Her tears were not confusion. They were release. Release from secrecy. Release from restraint. Release from waiting. The following days were relentless. Official statements were delayed, fueling even more speculation. Schedules were adjusted quietly. Appearances postponed. The industry moved carefully around them, as if unsure how to respond to an act that had broken so many unspoken rules. Because what Yu Long did challenged a core expectation. That idols must love quietly. That relationships must stay hidden. That commitment should wait until relevance fades. He rejected all of it. And in doing so, he forced a conversation the industry has long avoided. Is success worth denying reality? Is love a liability? Or is authenticity the rarest luxury of all? When Yulong finally spoke publicly again, his words were brief. He did not apologize. He did not justify. He simply said that some moments should not be delayed, and some truths should not be whispered. That statement alone reshaped the narrative. Yang Mei Mei later appeared with a ring still on her finger, unhidden, unstyled for distraction. She did not speak much either.
She did not need to.
Her presence said enough.
Calm.
Grounded. Unashamed. The shock that once felt explosive began to transform. Into acceptance. Into respect. Into something quieter, but more lasting. Years from now, fans may forget the exact date, the exact stage, the exact words spoken. But they will remember the feeling. The moment when entertainment gave way to reality. When courage replaced caution. When love stepped into the spotlight without asking permission. Yulong's proposal did not just change his life. It altered expectations. It reminded everyone watching that even in an industry built on illusion, truth can still appear unexpectedly, kneeling under bright lights, asking a simple, terrifying question. And when the answer is yes, nothing remains the same again.